Hey Fit Fam. Okay, so today we're gonna have a little chat. Um, Give me a second. I'm gonna make everything good to go. I'm gonna pull something up on my phone. Tag you guys. Today is a little bit of education. I'm gonna teach you all the things. Cool. Okay. So if you're watching the replay, write hashtag replay in the comments so I know you are here and you learned the things that I'm about to teach you. So a little bit what's going on over here. I've talked to you guys a couple times about how I was doing a marathon training program and I wasn't committing. I wasn't committing to the marathon, but I wanted to push myself in a way to make me really, really uncomfortable. And it did just the thing. I don't like running. I'm not a runner. And this we committed to the marathon and it's actually happening this weekend, so I'm really nervous, I'm really scared. This training program itself, you guys, it's been so hard and it's been one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Hi Jeanette. This last run that I did, it was like 2 weeks ago for the training program. I felt like I was going to cry. It was so hard during the run, but anyway, the marathon is this Sunday, so send all the fast vibes my way because you guys, I'm so nervous. I'm so uncomfortable. I am a person like I don't feel like a runner. I've never really been a runner. It's not been my thing. I don't enjoy it, but I just like I was saying, I really wanted to push myself to be uncomfortable. So the goal is just to cross the finish line. So that's happening this Sunday. Um, so let's jump right in to our training. As you're coming in, you guys say hello. I see everybody joining in the comments. So today we're going to talk about the food scale, like all the things about it. And I want to tell you guys about my first experience with the food scale because when I first had my Barrett, well, I've had a lot of in-person trainers, but then at one point to learn even more, I did my first online fitness coach. And when I had that coach, I was using the food scale sometimes, but not all the time because as you guys probably know, on the packages of things, it will tell you half a cup. It'll tell you like the serving size on the nutrition label. It'll be like half a cup or 2 tablespoons, things like that. So, um, for you guys that are here, are you guys using measuring cups to do everything? Or are you guys using a food scale? Let me know in the chat what you're specifically doing right now to track your food. Or are you just completely winging it and eyeballing things? And each one, don't feel guilty about anything. But I just want to know where you guys are at, the people that are watching this right now. So put it in the chat. What are you doing right now to track your food? So Lindy's doing both. We got a food scale. I like it. Measuring cups mostly. So when like I was saying, when I was doing my first program, I was doing both. And so like things like peanut butter, I would usually do the food scale, but other things that were a little bit more simple, the oats, I have them right here because this is one of the things that I would just kind of scoop. I wouldn't really use the food scale because I was like, okay, why should I use a food scale? It just tells me half a cup. I'm just gonna use my half a cup. So um I want to show you what was happening to me when I finally took my oatmeal and then I put it on the food scale. Okay, so we're gonna go live and do this right now. All right, so Julie says she uses a food scale trying to eat some things for easiness to log. So I have my handy dandy food scale here. I like this one because it's so big, you guys, and I can put a plate right on top of it. I'm actually going to turn the laptop a little bit so you guys can see everything a little bit easier that I'm doing down here. So my half a cup right here on the nutrition label for the oats, It says half a cup is 150 calories, okay? I'm going to use my half cup and I'm going to scoop it out, but I'm going to weigh it at the same time. So here's my oats right here. I'm going to I'll teach you the how to use this food scale also, but I'm just going to do it really quickly to kind of show you guys. So I would take my oats and I would be like, okay, this is probably a little bit too much because as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little bit heaping. So I was like, okay, let's kind of go like this, make it a little even, right? Even it out. So this is going to be this is pretty flat. So you put it back on here and you guys, it says 60 grams. Can you see it? Okay, so there's my oats. It says 60 grams on here, and I want to do the math and tell you exactly how many calories this is. Because on the grams on here, 1/2 cup is 40 grams. That's the serving for 150 calories. So when you weigh it, it says 60 grams on there for half a cup. And the serving size is 40 grams. Does that make sense, you guys? Let me know in the chat. Let me know if you're with me. So now I'm going to tell you exactly how many calories it is for this half cup. And that's why it's so important to weigh. Okay, so it's actually 225. Oh, it just went to 61. So it's fluctuating between 60 and 61, just an FYI. So it's actually 225 calories for my half cup right here, for this half cup. And the reason why this can happen, well, first of all, let's touch on the importance of this. So this is so important to know because if I'm in a calorie deficit, if my goal is to lose weight and to lose body fat, I'm in a calorie deficit. And if that is your goal, then I have you in a calorie deficit. You're probably in anywhere between 300 to 500 calorie deficit. And when you are logging 150 calories, because it says half a cup is 150 calories. If you're logging 150 calories, but you're actually eating 225, that means it's taking you higher up. It's taking you maybe not completely out of your calorie deficit, but it's going to take you higher up because you're eating more food than you're actually logging. So that is 75 calories more than it says on the nutrition label. So the reason why this can happen, you guys, and I was so mad. I was so mad when I found this out. So if you start using a food scale and you kind of find things like this, be easy on yourself because you're trying your best, you're putting time into it, and we're all going to, I know, Jackie, it's absolutely insane that I was so upset. I was like, are you serious? I was doing it for months because I would just take my measuring cup and I would go with it. And I would do that for many different things. So I would, so my point for that is don't be upset when you find something because you're going to catch something. I talk to you guys all the time and you're like, oh my God, I did this wrong. And it's okay. And what is the most important overall is that you're learning throughout this process because you guys are gaining tools to really carry with you for the rest of your life. So, you're only going to learn about your mistake one time. I learned about this oatmeal one time and I was like, all right, now I know that this is not how it works. So the reason why this is happening specifically, and I was so mad at Quaker. I was like, how dare you, Quaker? But the reason why it can happen is because in the factory, things like this, the oats are probably a little bit more fluffy, and it probably was the correct amount of grams for the serving size. And now, it's more compact, it's more packed in there, so you can have more food in here. Let me know if this part so far has made sense, you guys. I want to see it make sense in the chat, so let me know. And this can go for other things too. This can go for things like even chips, because like chips will break off and it'll be like, okay, 12 chips. And you'll just notice certain things if you start to weigh things. It can be the same thing for like maybe rice, for example. So let's say you're going to cook half a cup of rice. It can definitely happen with rice. And you'll notice like, oh, okay, you know, I need to have actually a little bit less for it to even out on the grams. I cook rice pretty often. I still weigh it personally just because I want to know exactly how much I'm eating at the time. But I know when I weigh it, I'm looking at the measuring cup, and it's for the rice, there's usually a lot of space at the top. Like you can see the space. Can you put 40 grams in the measuring cup so we can see what it looks like? Yeah, definitely. Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. And also sometimes different measuring cups might be a little bit different. So I don't want you guys to look at my measuring cup and think like, okay, this is what I need to do at home. I highly, highly encourage you guys to use a food scale to see your own system. So let's do that. Let's do 40. It's a joke, you guys. A little bit more. It's kind of irritating. Okay, this is 40. That's 40. So you can see there's space at the top, right? Like you can see this is a half cup. It says a half cup is like this, but there's a lot of space at the top. This is 150 calories. This is the 1/2 cup serving. Okay, so you guys with me? Let's see. I'm looking at the chat. Tina says, what about meat? Do you weigh before you cook it? So it depends. You can weigh it before you cook it, or you can do it after. This is what I find the easiest overall is it depends kind of what I'm cooking. So if it is a package of like ground beef or a package of ground turkey, something like that, it will say on the nutrition label, it'll be like 4 servings, 120 calories each. I'll make the whole thing and then just split it up into 4s. Or if you split it up into maybe 5s or 3, you know the total amount of calories. So you can divide it that way. So for example, if it's 4 servings of 120 calories, you're going to know that the total is 480. So you can do 3 servings, you can do 4 servings. I like to split it up. And you can, so like if you divide it by 3, then you know you're going to have 160 calories per serving. You can do it that way. You can also, if you're the only person eating your food, you can put it all together in like a meal prep container and then eyeball it as you go, because at the end of the day, it might be maybe like 10 calories above or under. But if you're eating something and you're having it for maybe 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if you just try to take out a quarter of it each time, it's going to average out pretty well between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You might be a little bit lower or higher, but at the end of the day, you're going to be consuming everything. So let's go to the next topic that I was going to talk about. So like how to use the food scale itself. There's a lot of hacks to this thing. I've been using those for a long time. So this is my favorite one because like I was saying, you can put a plate right on top of it like this. And then that way, here, let me do this for you guys. You can put a plate right on top of it. You see kind of, you might not be able to see the number, which is okay. But if you turn it on, so it's off right now. If you turn it on and then you put your plate on it, then you can tear it out, which means it brings it back to 0. And then you can just pile your stuff on top. You can put your stuff on top. And I feel like that's so So easy. A lot of the times I do this constantly. I'll just throw my plate on there and then I will just like load up my plate with whatever, whether it's like, I don't know, oatmeal, chicken, whatever. Um, and then, so for sauces and things like peanut butter and stuff like that, this is the easiest way to do peanut butter, you guys. If you are right now, if you are, let's see, if you're like kind of like trying to scoop out your peanut butter and like put it on a plate and then weigh it out and then you have some on the spoon and you're like, okay, you know, it can be a little bit hard, but this is the easiest way to do peanut butter. Let me see the chat. If ours makes this one comment, see what calorie number. Does that work? Okay, Sadie, I'm trying to understand your question. If a recipe says 1 cup or 1 tablespoon, what I've been doing is putting that in MFP, seeing what the calorie number is for that specific ingredient, then changing the measurement. Yes. Okay, so I'm glad you said that, Sadie, because that way is really, really good to do. Because the most accurate way to measure, you guys, is in grams. You're going to be really, really accurate if you're measuring in grams. So you can definitely do that. And you can do that for oats too, because if you log the oats, it's probably going to be in there 150 calories and it'll be 40 grams. But if you're only having 30 grams, what you want to do is go to the 1/2 cup part in MyFitnessPal, click on it, and it will give you the grams. If it doesn't, there's probably another option in MyFitnessPal to give you that gram option, but you want to always try to use grams when you can because it's going to be the most accurate. Julie said, I'm laughing at myself for not doing this already. You know, Julie, it happens to all of us. It happened to me. I was like so frustrated with myself. Okay, so back to peanut butter. The easiest way to use your peanut butter and weigh it out is to put it on here. So let's say it's you're turning the scale on, then you put it on here, then you even it out. Okay, put it on, even it out, then you get your spoon and you spoon out the peanut butter. So when you do it that way, when you like take the peanut butter out, it's going to give you the exact amount that you're having. Okay, so you're going to get exact, and it's going to be a lot easier if you just put your peanut butter on here compared to doing it any other way. Okay, and then so sauces, this is what you can do for sauces because that can be a little bit hard too, just depending. So this is what I like to do when I use a food scale for sauces. I'll basically do the same thing. So I'll put it on here. I will even it out. So hit the tare button to 0 it. Then I'll go to my plate or whatever. I'll pour the sauce on there. Then I put it back on here and I'll see that I used like 20 grams or something like that. It will tell me exactly how much I'm using for the sauces. Or what you also can do if you wanted is, let's say you were loading up your plate. You have your plate, you have your food scale, and you're loading it up. You can pour your sauce right onto the plate as well. And I do know that not all of you guys have a big food scale, so you can't necessarily put your plate on there. But you can do the other route where you put your sauce on. And let's see, this wasn't that much. I got it on Amazon. I want to say like 3 years ago now at this point, and I was just talking to one of you guys because you guys wanted a link for it, and I think it was like $22. But this has lasted me a long time. It comes in white, it comes in black. I feel like it, since my counters are white, it kind of blends in. If you have a darker counter, you can get black. And somebody mentioned in a thread, she's like, my scale breaks because I put like chicken on it and things like that, and I'm always having to clean it. So I think it's the liquid that's making the scale break. So what you can do in that case is the plate system. So like putting the chicken right onto the plate. That way the plate is the item that's getting like more liquid or things like that. You can also like put something like this, a big item, right onto the food scale and then scoop it out. So that way it's just like really easy and fluid. But based based on how I've been using a food scale the last couple, well, I've been using a food scale for a very long time, but I have never had to put liquid on it for any reason, just because I'm putting something else onto the scale and then I will do it. So it makes it a little bit easier. I don't clean this. Well, I do. I'll like sanitize it just because sometimes, but it's not touching anything like raw. It's not touching anything funky. Usually. Yeah. So I will post a link for this specific food scale. I just vibe with it. I just like it. I have another one. Um, it's dead right now. This was my very, very first one I got. And then I realized that the bigger ones are way more functional. So I don't really like this one. It's actually dead right now because I never use it. But sometimes Allison and I will be like weighing things at the same time, and it comes in handy to have two for us sometimes, even though that one's dead. We haven't used it in a long time. Let's see. Okay, cool. Do you guys have any other questions about this? That is um the easiest food hack, or the best food hacks that I came up with. I was kind of game planning because I wanted to make it easier for you guys, but if you think about it, if you want to see success and you are in a 300 to 500 calorie deficit, there is so much room for error if you're just sticking with measuring cups throughout the whole process. And especially when it comes to things like peanut butter, if you're eyeballing something like this, girl, we got to get a food scale. Like this kind of stuff, it's if you're eyeballing this, we might unfortunately be erroring this maybe like, I don't know, 50 calories. Who knows? I know I am not. Before I started using a food scale, I had absolutely no freaking idea what 150 calories of peanut butter looked like, or even 200 or 100. I had no idea. I would just kind of use peanut butter. But the the whole thing behind this, you guys, is if you're wondering like, oh my god, like a food scale, what the heck, I don't want to be that person to use a food scale. So this is what I have to say to you. This is not something that you have to do for the rest of your life, but if you start it now, it's going to give you so much education. It's going to give you these tools and the knowledge. You're going to see how much you were using and know how many calories that was, so that way you can learn how many calories something is, and then you can apply it to the rest of your life. And you guys, I am to a point now that I don't need to use a food scale. I am very good at eyeballing. I am amazing at eyeballing because I've been using a food scale for so long, and I'm very confident in food and like how like amounts of things that I have and that I'm using. I like to use food scales still just because I love having big portions of things sometimes, you guys. I like food. I like food a lot. And sometimes I can be a little bit more comfortable with myself and I'll just like, it's a big scoop. But if I'm trying to monitor things, especially with the peanut butter, I get really out of hand with things like peanut butter. Full calorie ice cream is another one. You guys, if you have full calorie ice cream or things like that, measure it one time, at least one time, hopefully more often, but you're going to see how many calories like just a little small portion is. So that's why I usually tend to go towards the lighter ice cream, because I love sweets. I love them a lot. So I can have more Halo Top or things like that. Let's see. So you don't have to do it the rest of your life. You guys are gaining knowledge at this point, and then you can transition. I have a couple of you guys that Actually, no, I was thinking of something else. But yeah, so just know that you don't have to use this the rest of your life because you're going to learn. You're going to learn a lot from this, but I highly, highly encourage it to use a food scale for at least all food items at the very beginning and then throughout the process. Down the road, you can get better at eyeballing, but it takes time. So don't think that you're going to have something like this, measure it out, and you're going to master it in 30 days. It takes a little bit longer than that because maybe in that 30-day window, you didn't have all different kinds of food. But in longer, like months down the road, you're going to get really good, educate yourself. You're going to learn all about food and amounts of food. So, like the calories and the amounts and things like that. So, weigh food raw or cooked. You can do either one. If you weigh it raw, it's going to be a lot more accurate, okay? And then you can weigh it cooked as well. There's going to be less liquid in it, so you do need to log the meat as cooked. And there's also a conversion. I can post it in the Facebook group. I posted it maybe like 2 months ago. I can post it again, but it's an average and it shows how the weight of something changes. Because if you think about it, you guys, if you have I'm going to say lean ground beef again. If you have a package and it weighs 16 ounces, after you cook it, the liquid starts to come out of it. So it's going to weigh a little bit less because the liquid is out of it. But you can weigh the food raw or you can weigh it cooked. You just have to log the food correctly. And I have a conversion of the math of like how to do it. So for example, just to give you guys an example, 4 ounces of chicken raw, it's going to be lighter, just like the ground beef. And it's usually around 3 ounces when you weigh it cooked. So if you have 4 raw ounces, it's going to be the same amount of food as 3 cooked ounces. But I'll give you guys the whole shebang and the math because I have a little cheat sheet for you. I can post it again. All right, guys, it's been fun. I hope you guys learned a thing or two about the food scale. Highly, highly recommend. It can be so helpful in your progress because this might be taking you from your 400 calorie deficit to maybe a 100 or a 200 calorie deficit, which isn't that small, and it's going to take you a lot longer to see progress if you're not as accurate with your food, okay? So it's going to take you from the 400 to maybe like 100 or 200, and maybe some days even like you might not be in a calorie deficit if you're doing things like I was all the time with the oatmeal and just constantly, it's not our fault. We didn't know, okay? But I hope this helps. Okay, Lindy said it helps. Hello, Andrea. How are you? All right, guys, I hope you have the best day of your entire lives. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. You guys, some of you guys are really doing good with our challenge. We have our hashtag I can challenge because you guys can. You can absolutely crush this and get to a place where you're feeling amazing and you're feeling confident, you're feeling healthy for your family, for yourself, and you can do this. I believe in you guys. And there's going to be $100 gift card for the winner. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye, guys. See ya.